YouTube, it's your boy Tank Be Choppin, coming at y'all with another haircut tutorial. Today's haircut, we're going to do a trim on top, 4 on the sides with a taper. We're going to do a little beard work also, fade in his beard, line it up, make sure it looks good and fades in with the haircut. So I'm going to start by trimming the top. So as you can see here, I'm just saturating the top of the head, combing the hair and getting it ready to trim down. So now that I got the top fully saturated, I'm going to start by trimming it down. So as you can see, I'm combing a little section of his hair together on top, and I'm trimming it down about 1/4 of an inch. I'm taking about 1/4 of an inch off, and I'm using that initial guideline coming forward. And I'm making sure I'm keeping a little bit of hair from the previous cut when I comb the hair up to make sure the haircut is the hair on top is going to be even. So now with that initial guideline that I put, I'm combing the hair up and I'm making sure the rest of the hair gets trimmed down to that same length. So if you're curious to what shears I'm using, I'm actually using the Manuki by Hanzo. So if you're looking for some shears, I think Hanzo is the way to go. They're a little pricey, but you get what you pay for. Alright, so now I got my number 4 guard on there, and I'm going over the sides. And as you can see, when I get close to that parietal ridge, I'm pulling the clipper out, and I'm not putting as much pressure on the head. And I'm doing this so I don't create a harsh line, and it's basically fading into the top. So I'm doing the same thing on this side, just hitting it with that 4, coming up right to about that parietal ridge and pulling the clipper out, making sure I leave a nice faded effect. So now I'm going to start with my Babyliss Trimmers, and I'm putting my initial guideline in for the taper. So I've told y'all before, I like to do my tapers this way. I like to leave it in a little half circle, and that way it leaves it dark for the C-cup. Get my Babyliss foil shaver, take that down to skin. Now I got my clipper open, and I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch. And I'm still trying to keep that half circle shape going. I'm trying to keep that through the whole cut. As you can see, I'm adjusting my lever, closing it a little bit every time. So I started with the clipper completely open, then I moved it about halfway, and then I closed it all the way to take out that bottom line. Now I got my number 1 guard on there, and I started with the clipper open, came up about another 3/4 of an inch, made my next guideline with it, and then I closed it halfway, and then now it's closed all the way, and I'm just taking out that bottom line. 1.5 guard. Now I'm gonna come up a little less, so this one's probably about 1/2 an inch, and as you can see, I'm flicking out the hair once I get to about 1/2 an inch. Brushing the hair down, closing the clipper as needed. Now this is actually my number 3 guard, all the way open, coming behind the ear, attacking that top line. Now I got the clipper closed, and I'm still attacking that top line. Here's my number 2 guard, and it's open. And I'm still just trying to take off these dark spots and get rid of these lines that are in there still. So As you can see, I'm actually cleaning up behind the ear. When it comes to tapers, some people I see they don't clean up behind the ear. Well, I like to take the ear, behind the ear down when it comes to doing my tapers, just because I feel like sometimes if they have anything longer than a 2, it looks too dark behind the ear, like it looks too bulky. Like I feel that it sticks out and it gives your head a weird shape. So most of the time I take it down behind the ear. So let's say, for instance, on him he did a 4 on the side, so I took it down to about, I think, a 3 or 2.5 is what I did behind the ear. And it's still just fading though, you know, I'm flicking the clipper out when I do that. That way I don't leave a harsh line and it looks all faded and it looks nice and uniform when it comes to the haircut. It's not just, you know, going from a 2 to a 4. Alright, so now I got my number 4 guard. Trimming down the beard. Doing a little more detail work on the fade. I see some dark spots in there, so I'm still just hitting them lines up. Alright, so now I got my trimmers and I'm starting on the back of the beard. Now I'm starting in the middle of his beard, making an initial guideline and moving over to the right. So he doesn't have a really full beard on top, so I don't want to take too much off, but I still do want to make it straight and make it look nice. So I'm just tapping at the top little by little to make sure it gives a nice shape. So as you can see right here, I'm starting on the C cup, giving a nice curve to come into the beard. And now I'm just matching those lines up that I made on his beard, from the top to where his haircut meets the sideburn, from the bottom to his chin. You're gonna have to excuse my elbow and my arm in the frame right here. So now I'm clipping his hair up on top, and I'm starting with his edge up, starting at the middle of his head, making an initial line, and then I'm coming over. Most of the time after I edge them up, I see how the taper's gonna look, so I start to detail a little more. So that's basically what I'm doing now. I'm just attacking them dark spots, using some corner blending, changing my guards and adjusting that lever, and then fading in his beard. So now we're starting on the other side, making my initial bald line. Same thing with a half circle. Get the Babyliss foil shaver, shave it down to the skin. And now I'm tapering them up, and I'm gonna do the same exact steps that I did on the other side. I'm starting with my clipper open, close it halfway, then close it all the way, and then I do the same thing when I add the guard. So that was my 1 guard, open, halfway, then closed, and now it's the 1.5, open, halfway, then closed. And then I'm gonna bump it up to the 3.5 guard, or the 3 guard open, debulking behind the ear, attacking the top of that taper. And then I'm gonna close my lever as needed, go down to the 2 and do the same exact thing. Got the 1.5 guard, doing a little bit of detail work. Now I'm starting on his edge up. Get behind the ear, try not to go too far into the hairline. Clipping the hair up, starting at the middle of his head, Starting at that guideline that I previously made on the other side, and I'm going to the left now. Some more detail work. Trimming down the other side of the beard. Starting with the back side of his beard, just lining that all up, making sure that's straight. And then coming at the bottom, finishing off where I started the other side of his beard. Basically, I'm just following the same line that I made on the other side, making sure both sides match. Now I'm attacking the top of the beard, give him a nice curve, try not to take too much hair off, and make sure it goes into the taper nice. Now I'm fading in the beard to the haircut, starting with the clipper open, adjusting it, and adding guards as needed. Alright, now we're on the back of the taper, and we're going to do the same thing we did to the sides. Only difference is now we're doing it on the back. So we're starting off with a half circle, bringing it down to the skin with the Babyliss Shaver. Start with the clipper open, and coming up on this one, we're going to come up about 3/4 of an inch to an inch on the back. And I've said this before, I like to do my back tapers a little higher than normal, just because I feel that it makes the haircut last a little longer. So as you can see now, I got my one guard, and I'm coming up about 3/4 of an inch, starting with the clipper open and then fading downward. Now this is my 1.5 guard, and I'm doing the same thing, starting with the clipper open, bringing the fade up, and then closing the clipper, coming down as needed. Here's my 3 guard open, and I close it as needed, and then my 2 guard. And this should get rid of most of the dark areas in the taper. Now everything you're gonna see after this is basically gonna be detail work. So now I got my number 1 guard on there, just doing some detail work. Remember guys, that could have been a finished taper, but I just take a little more time to taper them up to make sure the haircut looks good. You know, and I try to stay consistent with my detail work and make sure the detail work is good and make sure the fade looks nice and complete. Alright, so as you can see now, I got the hot towel on them, got my Vibe FX going over the face, and now we're just gonna go over what we did with the trimmers, going over the lines, taking off all that excess hair, making sure the lines are nice and sharp. So when it comes to doing blade work, you always want to remember to pull the skin tight. Make sure you stretch that skin and keep the blade flat. The flatter you keep the blade, the less chance you have of nicking somebody. And I'm basically just going over everything I did, knocking off all that excess hair. So now I'm just putting a little bit of product in his hair, going for the matte look. Putting some texture powder on top. Now I'm just gonna give it a little texture with my fingers, give it a nice little messy look. So here's the cut. We trimmed the top, did a 4 on the sides and tapered them up. Lined up his beard, faded into the haircut, gave him a little bit of style with it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the haircut, guys. Did I do this man right? Did I mess him up? Y'all let me know in the comments below. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you like this video, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, YouTube, appreciate y'all.